Talk about CSS positioning. I would like to play a bit with the CSS layout. So let me open the CSS file. I'll leave it around. Right. So let's do some stuff as usual. So here we got the hello world. So I'm going to have a div. Yep. Here we go. So this is our hello world message. Nothing surprising as usual, right? Starting point, easy. So let's start making it a little bit more complicated. I'm going to add some background colors because that will definitely help to see where the hello world element is placed on the screen. So I'm going to the class name. So this will be class name equals hello. And then as usual on the CSS dot hello, because that's a class name, background color green. Here you go. Here is the hello world message. I'm going to open the DevTools. That will help to see what's going on. Yeah, exactly. Right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the position of the hello thingy. So we do position absolute. Where hello world, well, the green box will start to be displayed.
Top left.
Top left.
Or just stay in.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of, it's hard to explain, I'll be honest. It's like in the middle of nowhere. It's on the left, but it's not on the top, right? Mm-hmm. So the reason is when we play with position absolute, we should be explicit about where do we want to display that element. So for instance, if I do top 0, you see the element is behind the icon, but you can clearly see that it's on the top, right? If I do left 0, nothing changes because of whatever reason, by default left is 0.
Is it always to the viewport?
Yes, by default it's on the viewport. We'll see that in a minute. What happens if I do right 0?
We'll jump to the right. Probably.
Exactly, right? How can we make sure that the hello world message fits all the available space, all the available width?
Width.
Exactly. Right? Cool, we got it there. But what if we want to align the hello world message at the very bottom of the viewport?
That's funny. Then you have to specify it's aligned to the viewport first.
Text position?
But it's just
No, that's Visual Studio is not very supportive, which probably means that it doesn't exist, right? So someone I heard that was exactly. So Christian was suggesting to do bottom 0, right?
Yeah, but where is bottom?
Wait, what is bottom?
Is the content or at the viewport?
No, it's the bottom of the page.
It's bottom of the page, exactly. So by default, all this kind of positioning that we are declaring here is regarding to the browser, to the viewport, right?
Okay. So you don't have to specify.
By default, no, you don't have to specify anything. Right, so I'm going to save that and then we'll see what's happening. What happens. Right, that's strange, right?
No, because we have to have
Okay.
0.
Exactly.
Zero.
Exactly. So let's get rid of top 0 and then it's at the bottom, right? Right, but let's make it again more complicated as usual. So let's add another element which is called world. So let's change the messaging a bit to make it less confusing. So we got hello and then we got world. So then on the CSS, let's just play around with it a bit. So world will be background color, if I'm able to type it right. That could be, oh, look at that. Yeah, blue violet, take that. Right, so what's that? Again, same thing, right? This displays somewhere on the screen, right? But let's assume that the world element is very tall. So if we got height 2000 pixels, something like that, right? So you can see right? That you got some scrolling, right? So, which is kind of expected. But so let me do a couple of changes because I need to prepare the setup. So let me see again. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to see. So I'm just cleaning up my conflicts because otherwise some of the styles are creating a conflict. But this is very virgin. So you see that we got a wall box and and then it's very large, right? But you know, so the thing is, hello is at the bottom, but as soon as I start scrolling, it's not at the bottom anymore, right? I'm sure you've seen something similar when you, for instance, now on the European Union that we need to accept the cookies and all these things, you get this ugly banner at the bottom. But even if we keep scrolling, that remains at the bottom, right? Because that's weird. So do you know how can we change the behavior of the hello box to ensure that regardless of whether we're on top or we're at the bottom, it will remain always visible at the bottom?
Position fix.
Exactly. You are both right, Sultan and Dave. So if we change the position from absolute to fixed, by default, there are no differences, right? It's the same, but if I scroll, it remains at the bottom, which is nice, right? In some situations, that's something that we want to explore. Yeah, so any question? No? Right, so I'm going to do something now very familiar. So what I'm going to do is let me revert the massive height of the wall. It will be just 200 pixels, something readable, right? Or maybe 300. And I'm going to move the wall inside of hello. Here you go, right? So we got hello, and inside of hello we got world. So essentially, look at what's going on here. There's something quite funny actually. So
Word is taller than.
yeah, world is taller. That's correct, Sultan. So I wanted to do it the other way around. So let's set the height on hello. Yes, that makes more sense. So right, what I want to do is I want to replicate what you have been doing with the cover and the overlay. I want to remark something that you probably already know. I hope you already know, but I think that's pretty important. So in other words, we got hello and we got wall. I remove all the positioning to start just from scratch again, right? So we want wall to be placed on top of hello, right? So you know what happens. So if we set position absolute here, and then bottom 0, where the purple box will be displayed. Top, bottom? Bottom of what? Here? At the bottom of the page? Yeah. It's again, it's in a weird position, but definitely, look, without the scrolling, it's at the bottom of the page, right? Why is at the bottom of the page and not at the bottom of this element? So I want to display walled here at the bottom of the green box because that's like your overlay. This is your cover, right? So we want the overlay to be displayed at the bottom of the box, not at the bottom of the page. What is missing?
You need to tell it to display at the top because it's going from
At the top. So here, top, what? Top 200.
it'd be minus 300.
Minus 300. So, okay, right. That's a good point. That's a really good question. What happens if I save the file? Where the purple box will be displayed?
I don't think you see it.
I agree with Chris. I don't think we'll see it anymore. Here you go. It's gone. What is it?
It's outside.
Exactly. It's in London Bridge. Right. Why? Okay.
You start having to add minus.
Because if you add minus, then it goes out.
Exactly. You are right. And the way to prove it is, So look, I'm going to try to play again with the dev tools. So I'm going to open the wall box. Look, we got minus 300, but look, you see how it's suddenly, I'm just, it will show up after 20 minutes. Right? So right, yeah, here you go, right? You see? So you see how it comes from the top? Right? So
Then it's gonna be actually plus 300.
plus 300. Okay, let's prototype it here. Plus 300.
Not quite.
I mean, it's okay. Let's change it. You're right, it's there, but the thing is,
Not perfect.
it's not perfect, definitely, because the thing is, if we change that to 400, it's broken, right? We need to change it twice.
Absolute change position to relative.
So first of all, box sizing. No, this has nothing to do with box sizing.
Word is not the child of hello.
Yeah, it is.
World is the child of hello, correct?
Where you just position.
Relative and then the child absolute.
Okay, right. So I've seen a few of you talking about the same, so let's do that. So you are proposing to on the parent put position relative.
Child absolute.
So the child is absolute already, right?
No, it's the other way around.
Is the other way around? So is,
No, no. Sorry, I might be wrong, but I think that if hello is the parent,
it is?
then word should be relative to hello.
No, it's not the other way around.
Ah, okay.
That's what they. Yeah. Okay. So
So
let's.
logically applied the language of logic, it would be so that word would be relative because that relates to hello, right?
Well, maybe I don't know, Sultan.
Okay, fine.
Anyways, look at what happened. It's not what we wanted, right? Why?
Top 400 should be changed. Top 400 px should be changed.
Should we change to what?
Maybe like bottom 0.
Bottom 0. All right. No, bottom 0. No, so that's an important change. So Albert is suggesting to move from top 400 pixels, which is definitely moving the element away, is asking to do bottom 4 pixels. That's very exotic.
Yeah, that would actually show. Yeah, then it should be 0. That's what I'm
It should be 0.
thinking of as well.
Why
Because then it lines up. That's what we wanted, right?
Exactly. And obviously we can make it wider. So if we set width 100%, it will match the width of the parent
Why
element.
do we have this white frame around hello?
No, because this is the web page is white default. So ignore the white space. Just focus on the green and the purple. Right. So you understood why, right? So in other words, when you set position absolute, it will take as a boundary, as a reference square, the first parent element that has position relative, which is this one, right? That's why it works. So will it change anything if I do that? If I add a hello prefix in front of the world class name? What will it change? Yeah, and then what? Will it change something? So I've added hello as a prefix in here. Will it make any?
Still got the property of hello, which demonstrates
Yeah, but hello now has the absolute.
all you've done is be more factual.
The blue thingy on the left hand side. No, exactly. This changed absolutely nothing. This is not related to today's workshop, just to refresh what you learned yesterday. So we are just making all this thing here more specific, right? Higher score. But in reality, this is not battling. There is no chance to get confused because this is very deterministic, right? So yeah, so that's what we got. And then, okay, I'll tell you something. So if we go back, because I like what you proposed before. So if this is top 450 pixels, no, not 450, sorry, 380, that means that this is partially, overlay, yeah. Do you know how to ensure that any content beyond the green box is definitely hidden? Overflow 0, where?
On the hello.
On the hello. So Christian is suggesting to do overflow 0. Right, so let's see that. So nothing changes. What overflow 0 means?
It's for the text element. For overflow hidden, what? That's the isn't it responsible to display the this stretch bar
Yep.
on the side?
Yep. So the thing is, overflow 0 I think doesn't make any sense. And the way
Yeah,
to
there's
prove
no-
that,
there's no-
okay, let's see what Google thinks. Look at that. That's very useful, right? Because that happens. I mean, let's be honest. That happens because sometimes this is confusing, right? So if you change something but it has no impact on the browser, just have a look. Look, it's strike through, right? There's a warning message, right? So that warning message is essentially saying, hey, invalid property value. 0 is not a valid value.
Yeah, it's not part. You cannot use as a parameter with overflow because there is no such.
So then, if you remove it, Chrome, modern Chrome is suggesting you the valid value, which is very nice. This is very handy because then we can just, you see, in real time, we can just play with different options, right? So in this particular case, which option do you think will be ideal to hide the space that we don't want to show? Hidden. Exactly. Yeah. Any other question? No? That's pretty much it regarding positioning. So it's always about using relative, using absolute, and fixed. That's pretty much it. I would like to show you something else. It's non-related, but it's something that Vesna asked this morning. I think it's quite nice. So imagine that I'm going to put back this the wall message at bottom 0. Yes, so it's there, right? But imagine at the moment the color is solid, right? But some of you have seen that on your overlay, you played with some kind of transparency to make it more elegant. So how can we make the walled box not solid, but with some kind of styling? Opacity, exactly. Let's do that. So now is 50% solid. But the problem is, oh right, so this is the coloring is terrible on the Beamer, unfortunately. But this is the thing is this is half transparent at the moment, even though it's very hard to see. But okay, let me make it even more explicit. It will be probably easier to read. Yeah, you see now you see nothing, right? Now it's 10% solid. Now it's 20%. Okay, well you got it. But the problem is, what happened if we want to make the background color transparent, but hey, we still want to keep the word, the text solid. We want to make it very visible, right? How can we do it? Because if we change opacity, it's affecting everything in the box, the text and the background color.
I think the text should be styled separately.
The text should be styled separately.
That's my idea.
You'll just do text color.
Text color. Right, let's do text color.
I could do text color.
Text color what?
RGB.
Solid.
RGB. Then you got the black wine.
And the last one.
And you have to do alpha if you want to describe the transparency. RGBA.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. First of all, text color doesn't exist. So you want to change
Font color.
That's just color.
font color. Font color doesn't exist neither. So Chris grasped it because
And color.
color. Exactly. Right. So if we said that the color is black, purely black, so then Sultan was suggesting to add the alpha, which kind of makes sense. So we add a 4. You know, it's not RGB, it's RGBA.
May not work though.
Yeah. So but now what's the alpha of the color?
100.
100. 1. Okay, let's do 1 first.
I think.
Nothing changes. The reason why nothing changes is because we are changing the opacity of the box, and the text is inside of it.
Yeah.
So this will make it just even worse. I believe that if I make it more transparent, it will be less visible. Exactly. You cannot even see it, right? Because now we're telling, hey, the box is 30%, but then the text is 10%. So I guess now that the visibility of the text is 3% or something like that, right? So that's not what we want to do. If we just want to change the background color, change the opacity of the background color, but we want to keep the text fully visible, what we need to do, and you were very close actually, is you need to apply the alpha on the background color, right? So we want to keep the box fully visible, but here we're going to say RGBA, and then look. So if I make it, first of all, let's make it black, fully black, right? And let's make the text white. So color white, right? That works, but then look, if I add a fourth parameter here and I make it 50% solid, you see the difference? That's nice, right? That's nice because the background is not solid, but the text is still very readable. So we are improving the user interaction, the user interface. Any question? No?
So background color is the color of the
So that's
background.
just
Color
be
Sorry, Sultan.
and color it's only for the text.
Background color, exactly. Background color applies to the background color, which is the background, and color only for text, exactly.
Sorry, just be careful with opacity because of this, so that it applies to the whole box.
This one, you mean?
No, what we had before.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's do the final exercise for the day. So inside of the world box, I'm going to add another box, which is going to be called Bermondsey. So in here, look at the example I'm going to do. I'm going to remove the alpha here. So I just want like a black background color. Actually, you can make it simpler. Just type black in that case, right? So then I'm going to put back the opacity to 1. Let's see if that works first of all. So opacity 1, and then we got world, we got Bermondsey. Yes, so that's it, right? So let's now change the opacity of the world container, 50%. You see that both world and Bermondsey got affected, right? Because Bermondsey is inside of the box that is setting the opacity, which is world. But then what happened if I do that? If I want to make Bermondsey fully visible again. So if I add a new class name, Bermondsey, and they say opacity 1. Do you think that Bermondsey will be brighter, will be more readable now?
It'll still be the same because you need to rename it in
I suppose it might just the parent box anyway, so
Exactly. So don't forget that the opacity is cascaded down. So if that's 50%, that means that nothing inside of it will be brighter never. So if I change that, you see nothing changes. We could make the problem even worse. So what happens if now I change it to 0.5? Will it change anything? 2.
No, it can only be
2. Yeah, okay, so, right, let's see. That was very optimistic. That's not valid. So opacity is it's a number between 0 and 1, right? So again, if I put 0.5 back, so do you think that Bermondsey will be as bright as world or not?
it'll be the same.
The same. Okay. The same, yes. Half. Let's see. Look, can you see the difference? Why? Because here we say, hey, this box is 50% solid. But then that one is 50%. But 50% exactly of the parent one. So that means that this is 25%.
Yeah. It happened before when we applied alpha to color.
Yep.
text color.
Yeah, indeed. Any question? No?
I noticed the
Yep.
around the big box.
Around the big
there's
box.
The border width seems to be different color. Is it a default border width?
The
or-
border width,
I mean,
is there any border width at all?
a hello?
Here? No,
Let's see,
there is no border width. What did you see?
this.
Ah,
Oh, that's just.
no.
That's just. That's just. I think that's just a technical, isn't it?
I think that's just the projector is very cheap because I don't see that in here, right? No, ignore that. There is no color. There is nothing. And the way to prove it, if I can then the border 10 pixels solid red, then you can clearly see the border is there, right? But if I change it, even though the projector is not doing it great, but there is literally nothing. So yeah. Anything else? No? Well, thank you very much. That was it for today.
Thank you.